discovering what my cycle was really about, I thought I was crazy. 1 minute a social butterfly, and the next minute like a grumpy little hedgehog curled in a ball and wanting to live forever in a cave. Now, does this sound familiar? And if it does, how can cycle awareness help us? And could it possibly even change our lives? When I first reclaimed my cycle over 10 years ago, it really blew my mind. Now, over 10 years later, it's still my #1 tool for self-development. If you're interested to know how your cycle is actually a blessing, then listen on. First of all, women are not all over the place. We are predictably changing, ebbing and flowing like the moon in this beautiful dance of multiple hormones. We've got estrogen, progesterone, cortisol, testosterone, all sorts of hormones dancing in a symphony. And this causes changes in our moods and even in our brains. Our cycle comes in 2 halves. We've got the follicular phase, which is from the first day of our period up until ovulation. And then we have the luteal phase, from ovulation up until our period comes again. What I'm going to use in this video are 4 seasons. Winter, starting on the first day of the period. Then we have spring. We've got summer when we ovulate. And then we have autumn. As you'll see, this analogy doesn't quite work because our autumn is the longest season, but bear with me. I hope you find the seasons helpful because they really help me. So let's start at the very beginning in winter. Winter is our period. Day 1 is when we first bleed. I think there's a big misconception that we're grumpy and moody on our periods. I think for most women, we find a sense of release when our period comes, as all of our hormones dip down, especially that moody progesterone, and we suddenly have clarity. And I know that this might be kind of masked by aches and pains and low energy, which most of us feel to some extent. But actually, we have a real superpower at this time. We have a sense of clarity and awareness. It's actually been shown that during this time when all of our hormones are low, we have a heightened sense of spatial awareness, which is really interesting. And I think this helps us to not only understand our surroundings, but to understand ourselves. So during this time, pick up a pen and a journal and write. You can reflect on the month that's just gone by, or if you have had a particular problem, this is the time to solve it. There's an amazing term coined by Alexandra and Shani from the Red School, I'll link that below, called I'll bleed on it. So instead of saying I'll sleep on it, bleed on it. So if there's an issue that can wait until your period comes, this is a fantastic time to solve those problems. Okay, so maybe coming back to those aches and pains. I think that pain is not necessarily normal, but it's been normalized. You might also have noticed that if you've had a very stressful month and you've been reaching for the junk food, you're probably expecting a tougher period. And on the opposite side, if you've been eating healthy, you've been pretty stress-free, then you can experience very little to even no pain at all. If you are experiencing consistent pain month after month, please do speak to your doctor because there may be an underlying condition such as endometriosis. Now, another point on winter. So I call the first day of my period my Princess Day. And this has been life-changing for me because I grew up with a lot of shame around my period, and I really transformed the first day of my period to a day where I spoiled myself. And if you're lucky to have supportive partners or supportive family around you, then get them on board as well. So on Princess Day, maybe someone else can take the dogs for a walk. Maybe you can draw up a bubble bath, take it easy, save some chocolates just for this day, and make it something to look forward to. And I really hope that if you conquer that shame, if you still have shame around your period, then the people around you will also get inspired and see it differently. Start telling random people that you're on your period. If they're saying, oh, you seem a little down, that's because I'm bleeding today. Look them dead in the eye and get them to feel a little uncomfortable, because that's how we're going to change the conversations around periods. To recap on winter, this is the days of your period starting from day 1, maybe up to 4, 5, 6, depending on how long your period is. And your weakness here is low energy and probably some aches and pains, but your strength is clarity and problem solving. On to spring. Spring is the time to sow seeds. And very interestingly, so this is when our estrogen starts to pick up. And with an increase in estrogen, it's been shown to affect the brain, namely the hippocampus. And we see more creativity and imagination in women at this time. And this is something I feel very strongly. Although my energy is still a little bit low physically, my brain is suddenly sparking. I have all these ideas. I'm like, this is what I want to do this month. This is what I want to try. I want to see these people. I want to make these plans. And I love this part, but I think you have to be super aware that your body isn't yet at a stage where it can keep up with your mind. So if it's not kept in balance, it can cause some anxiety if you're expecting to just start doing stuff. Instead, make plans, sow seeds, really enjoy that dance, but wait a few more days to actually start doing. Recapping with spring. Spring, your weakness is that you still have a little low energy, and you can get anxious at this time, potentially, but your main superpower is amazing creativity and imagination. So make the most of it. I love this season. Next, we have summer. So summer are the days leading up to ovulation, and I'd say a day after ovulation. So typically around day 9 to day 15 if you ovulate on day 14, which is the average. The reason I've chosen this as summer is this is literally your fertile window. And during your fertile window, you've got a big flush of estrogen in your body, and you've also got a slight rising progesterone. So estrogen means you've got all this serotonin and happy feel-good hormones, and this leads to you being social, wanting to be productive, getting things done. You're magnetic, you're charismatic, you just feel on fire. And if you start to track and really pay attention, it can be quite clear when you're ovulating. I'd say that the thing to watch out for, although this can be one of the best times of the cycle, is to stay grounded. Sometimes it can feel like you're almost flying away. So try to stay grounded and calm and make the most of this productive time. There was a really interesting study done on strippers and how much they earned at different times of the cycle. And during ovulation, they made $335 an hour. Then during their autumn period, they were making around $250 per hour. And then during their periods, they were making around $130 per hour. So massive difference. So this also goes to show that we feel more attractive, but we're also seen as more attractive. I'll go into how to really use your cycle later on in the video, but if you have power over your schedule, this is when I would be planning social events, if you had to do a big presentation, if you have an essay to write, this is your getting stuff done and putting yourself out to the world time. So to conclude, summer. Your weakness is that you can kind of fly away if you don't ground yourself. And your superpower is getting stuff done and being a social butterfly. So enjoy this time. This is many women's favorite part of the cycle. So just before we come to autumn, I realized I didn't introduce myself at all. My name is Emma, And I'm a yoga teacher who specializes in yoga for women's bodies through various cycles, through menopause, through pregnancy, and beyond. And my passion is women understanding and loving themselves. So if you're a woman and you want to find deeper connection within yourself, you want to find little pockets of calm, then please do subscribe and like this video. It's my very first one and I'm so excited. Enough about me, let's come back. Autumn. This is our longest season. So a little after we've ovulated, let's say day 15, day 16, until day 28, if you have a 28-day cycle. So this part is most women's least favorite part. You have a very gradual increase here in progesterone building up, which can lead to feelings of moodiness and irritability. But it also leads to a feeling of calm. Our energy starts to dip. We feel calmer, and this is when we have a more critical mindset. And this is really important. If we didn't have this part of the cycle, we would never improve. If we just stayed in summer all the time, we would just be thinking, wow, I'm amazing, my life is amazing, my relationships are amazing, nothing needs to change. But autumn is there to help us grow. Autumn, we start thinking, you know what, I actually don't like this part of my relationship. I wish my partner did this. Maybe I can improve by quitting this or starting this new hobby. You also might look over some of your previous work and you're like, I don't like this anymore. I should improve this. Or how come I didn't notice this before? You have a critical lens, which is extremely helpful. The only part I would caution against is communication. So yes, we are more critical, but we need to learn how to notice these things and then communicate effectively with the people around us. We don't just snap and say, I hate it when you leave the dirty laundry on the floor. Observe, notice if your feelings are justified, and then later on, give some feedback. Or if it's something bigger and deeper, bleed on it and then communicate. Seeing as this is the longest season in my 4th season analogy, I think we really have to embrace this side of ourselves. I think a lot of women want to stay in ovulation and just go, go, go and feeling magnetic and attractive 100% of the time. But this isn't our reality. We have to go through these ebbs and flows. Enjoy feeling more calm, more grounded, and enjoy that self-improvement mindset. How can you do better? So let's conclude autumn. Our main weakness here is communication. So we're feeling all these things, we just need to be careful on how we communicate. Our main positive is critical thinking and self-growth. So if you want to keep evolving every single month, wow, then really make the most of this time. And this is where, again, I feel the cycle is such a blessing. Have you noticed that through each of these seasons, we've got these different superpowers that if we didn't have them built into our bodies, we'd need to study and make this into a framework. And that's what men have to do. If they want to grow like this, they have to add this in, like externally. We have winter, where we rest, reflect, and have clarity. We have spring, where we come up with ideas and imagination. We've got summer, where we get stuff done and put ourselves out into the world. And then we have autumn to slowly come back to ourselves, to calm, and to reflect on everything with a more critical eye on how we can do better. I think that's magic, really. And I use this every single month, and I'm grateful for every single season that I have. What now? If you're feeling inspired or interested and you want to start using all of these tools, the number one step is to get a tracking app. I use an app called Clue, which is fantastic, but there's loads on the market. You can just type in tracking app on your phone and a ton will pop up. And most of them have free options. I use a free one, it's fine. So you want to use a tracking app and you can track lots of symptoms in there. But I would say go one step further, even if it's just for 3 months, and okay, that might sound like a long time, but it's enjoyable. Use a journal and track how you feel physically and emotionally for 3 months. And at the top of the page, write what day it is. And what you're going to start to notice once you get to month 3, you'll write, day 19, suddenly I feel exhausted, no energy. And if you look back, month before and the month before that, and you notice around day 19 the same symptoms, you'll start to learn new things about yourself. This is exactly what I have on day 19, and still now, like, I feel that drop in energy. I check my app, day 19, more or less. Then to take things a step further, and if you found this interesting, read some amazing books. I would highly recommend Wild Power by Alexandra and Shani, who also have amazing resources on their website called The Red School, which I will link below. They have amazing resources. They've got free courses. They also run in-person events, which I've been lucky to attend, and their book is amazing. So check that one out. And I haven't actually read it, but I've heard really good things about Period Power by Maisie Hill. Then finally, once you really understand your cycle, because everyone's cycle is slightly different, then you can start to plan around your cycle. And I don't want this to sound restrictive. Like, women every day are just going about their business and not having to move and shuffle things around for their cycle. But I mean this in an empowering way. Like, if you can choose when you're going to do a presentation, then maybe choose to do it in summer rather than autumn. Or if you can choose when you're going to edit your essay, choose to do that during autumn. And this can really change how you live, how you do your work, how you exercise, how you socialize. This is a really empowering practice. And even if you can't move stuff around, it gives you self-acceptance and self-love in those moments where you're struggling. Thank you so much for watching this video all the way to the end. And I want to ask you, do you have any tips for other women who may be watching on how to use their cycle to improve their lives? Please pop them in the comments, any tips, hacks, or observations that you've had. Let's spread wisdom to other women. And if you did like this video, if you watched it to the end, please give it a like. It's my first ever one. And subscribe to this channel for more content made for women, whether that's yoga, educational content, or inspiring content. Excited to see what happens. Have a great day, and thank you so much for watching.